Welcome back, my friends. As I promised in my big wrap-up video of all the current builds, I would have some that are a little more detailed into some of the builds that I mentioned. This particular game was recorded before the patch, and the build was nerfed slightly, just ever so slightly, but I still wanted to show you how it was built overall. And the build we're going to be doing is Darkflight Cannoneers. And once again, if you like these kind of videos, please remember to subscribe, like, comment, do the stuff that helps the YouTube algorithm so they can be shared with the world. Otherwise, they just languish in the YouTube dungeon and never get seen. With pretty much all my builds, I like to see some indication of which way I'm going, and when I saw a rengar, I knew I had the chance to do Darkflight, depending on what you get. Darkflight Crest, that's a pretty nice emblem to pick up, especially when you've already gotten a rengar. Then you get an extra rel along with that rengar, and the NPC round was super friendly, giving me a giant's belt, so immediately I am able to make the Zeke's herald that's going to go onto the Senna. Again, I like to use Senna as my sacrificial champion just because I like to keep Sejuani as a tank to absorb damage and hold things in front of my team. My ultimate goal is to put together a combination of cannoneers, cavaliers, and darkflights to make the team complete. For our first item selection, I decide to go with the champion duplicator because in the end, it's going to be very important for me to get the 2-star 4-cost champs that I need to finish this off. As for why I didn't put my cavaliers next to Senna so they'd pick up the attack speed buff, my answer is duh. I have no idea. In reality, the reason I like hyperroll so much is I often play it while doing other things. I'm on the phone or I'm actually doing some work on another screen, so a lot of times I miss little details like that. And let this be a lesson in how not to set your cavaliers up. You want to move them back so they charge in. For whatever reason, on this day when I was recording this video, I just lined them up in front like an idiot, and I pay the price for it in this fight because they're pretty easy to get through since they're not getting their bonus magic resistant armor from charging in. For the next item, I'm tempted by the spatula, but I ultimately go for the bow because I have the needlessly large rod and I can make a rage blade on aphelios once I get him. Now, I remember to move them back, but I don't put them next to Senna. Sometimes I don't know why I do these things. I should, at minimum, be putting 2 cavaliers next to Senna so they get the attack speed buff. It would probably make the difference for being at the top or bottom of the health chart at this point because I am throwing these matches by not making these simple little changes. In short, don't beat yourself up if you happen to make mistakes like this. It happens to everyone. Now, this second augment is part of the reason I like using Senna, Soul Siphon. Soul Siphon will allow the top trait from the champion to be given to all the other champions. I also managed to pick up a Graves there. But if you use Senna as your sacrificial champion, that means that Rage Wing is going to be pushed over to all the other champions, and that comes with attack speed and Omnivamp, especially after you bring Hecarim in and you'll have 2 Rage Wings on your team. Now, positioning is super important here. I've surrounded both Graves and aphelios with other Darkflight champions, so they're going to be getting a double boost from the Zeke's Herald. Normally, I would have put the Rage Blade on aphelios, but since Graves is here, I give it to him. And now I finally have everything positioned properly, and watch the impact. Graves is going to get double boosted in speed, as is aphelios. Aphelios is going to be stunning 6 people every time he ults, which is going to end up happening faster due to the Rage Wing being applied to him ultimately, and the attack speed increase. As you can see, Graves just goes through and tears teams apart. After the NPC round, I'm left with a lot of possible choices for items. I have the makings of a Protector's Cowl that I can put onto Rel if I want to. I'm not sure if I want to go further into protection or pick up another item like a rod to make another Rage Blade down the line. I decide to go more with protection because the team is not very tanky right now. So I can go ahead and make Rel the ultimate tank for the team, hopefully bringing her up to 3 stars as we head down the line. And this ultimately is somewhat what I'm hoping for, that Rel and Graves are going to stay near each other so that when her Protector's Cowl goes off, it will enhance Graves. Right now, Graves is still a bronzy, so he's not strong enough to get through a 3-star Sejuani and the rest of their team, but there's hope down the line. After watching the last match, I decide to make a change for this one and instead go with the additional Cavalier so that my front line is a little bit tankier and can absorb more damage going forward. And I don't know exactly how much of a difference it made, but if I can save 4 health at any time, I'd like to, and this is how I'd like the game to work, with the Cavaliers pushing forward and Graves right behind them doing tons of damage. For the final augment, it's gold level and Ricochet is really good, but there might be Thrill of the Hunt 700 behind that, so I roll it. It's not there, but it does give me Hot Shot, so that will allow my cannoneers to be a little bit stronger and do more damage. I can now put Zeri back out for the 4th cannoneer. I don't have to use my champion duplicator as I find my 2-star Graves. And now we can see it all work to perfection. Graves moves up along with Rel and Sejuani. Rengar's just tying up the backline and they quickly can get through the competition. It is Treasure Dragon time, and we're looking for pretty much anything that will enhance this team, and the Zeke invitation is really, really nice. That will add a nice amount of tankiness to the front line and also create ultimately the little ZZ Rot that's going to attract everything to it. So if that can help keep things off Graves, all the better. And while this match might have had a shaky start with poor placement, now it seems to be getting together. The ZZ Rot's holding stuff up, Graves is traveling along with Rel and just eliminating anything that gets in his way. The NPC had some really juicy items that we'll get to in a moment, but the most exciting thing is when it offers me my next item, which is a Tempest emblem. Since Graves is already a Tempest, I can make someone else a Tempest, and now I will get an additional stun on the team. Now I went ahead and just dumped Sejuani rather than put her where the 2nd Graves is all the way on the right. I probably should have done that at least for this round. There was no reason to get rid of her, but ultimately that other Graves is going to come out once we're ready to put in Swain. We run back into that guild team that was able to beat us before, only this time now we are in a much better position. You can see our team is now getting the Rage Wing buff, which is giving us a lot more attack speed and Omnivamp and allowing us to ultimately win that match. The key in this build is attack speed, and as you can see, I've stacked an additional Zeke's Herald onto aphelios, so that's another one going around Graves, allowing him to attack even faster. Although he does get eliminated here, the rest of our team is holding it together and allowing us to continue on. For the final item, I am so tempted to grab another Zeke's Herald and put it on Rengar, which would allow him to surround aphelios with even more attack speed. But instead, I go ahead with the Locket, and the reason is this is going to give me just enough shielding to keep everyone up just a little bit longer, and that's hopefully going to make the difference in the end. And again, you will see why I like this setup. The Cavaliers get out in front and just hold things back. Rengar starts taking out their backline from there, and Graves is just a machine, tearing through things and finishing it off and bringing us into the top 4. Zeri's Thieves' Gloves gave her a double Zeke's Herald, so I put her next to Graves to speed up his attack. This is going to be a very rough team to get through. They're running full Mirage along with a Yasuo with a Cavalier buff, which means he's going to be tanky because they also have some Cavaliers on their team. It's going really well as Rel keeps Graves alive, but it's just not enough to overcome that Yasuo ult. The third place player is knocked out, and now it's down just to me and the team that just beat me. So first I want to see if I can by any chance find the gold graves. That ain't happening, so it's going to come down to positioning. I'm going to want to get that rengar back into a position where the shielding matters, because this time I didn't get the double Zeke's Herald. I just have to hope that Graves stays with Rel and that the shield that she can provide will save him at just the right time so he can do enough damage. Rengar gets into the back line. Graves does stay along with Rel and is able to continue to do damage even through the Bard ult, and this time it's no contest. We just tear them apart for the ultimate victory and the GG. Hope you enjoyed this video and learned a little something from it. Sorry it was from the last patch, but it was the best example I had. And again, hope as always you have an absolutely awesome day.